Good afternoon to some of you, early evening for some of you, good early morning to some of you, and to the arriving afternoon to some of you. From wherever you are, come, come. Whoever you are, from wherever you are, wherever you are. 1 foot in the world that you've been in this morning, and now 1 foot stepping forward into this timeless place across the threshold, across the threshold. Come into the ground of your being again. See if we can start relaxing our minds, allowing the noise in our heads, the activity in our bodies to slow down and go down. The challenge that we face in each day now, in this strange time and strange circumstance each one of us finds ourselves in, is the work of shifting our awareness, of breaking out of the sameness, out of the routines, out of the things that hold us into the familiar that makes us feel secure and siphons off life at the same time. It's our work, it's our job, our responsibility to get underneath of our current circumstance in any given moment, like now, dropping in. Come, whoever you are, from wherever you are. Those of you who love to wander, worshippers of things outside of yourself, false idols, lovers of leaving here, leaving the unknown, leaving the journey. Rumi says to us about the jackass, the donkey, how hard it is to get a donkey to cross the desert all by itself. But even donkeys take refuge in the company of their own kind. If you want a donkey to cross the desert, just put them with the other donkeys and they go together. It's a bad analogy, but it's a good analogy because that's us, that whenever we want to go across a threshold, whenever we want to enter the vastness of the desert or the uncertain terrains of life, it's best not to go alone. We go for ourselves, but not by ourselves. So here we go. Bring your awareness underneath you once again to the ground that's solid below you. Make the effort to do that now. Drop down. Feel underneath your seat, underneath your feet, solid ground. Rest into it. Now find your breath. Bring your awareness inside. Find your breath and where it's moving in your body. And if it's not moving much, pay attention to that. Now give yourself space inside, space to not know anything else right now. Don't worry about anything that's going to happen in a minute from now. Just come here and come to your breath and deepen your breath. Feel the patience and the space you need to allow your breath to begin to drop down, particularly your inhale. And now follow your exhalation all the way out, all the way out to the end point. Now see if you can let your inhalation happen on its own without you forcing it or making it happen. Letting go into your inhalation now. It's counterintuitive. Try it. As you feel your breath moving through you, notice the bodily sensations that arrive along with your breathing. The felt sense of your breath moving through you, the way a river moves through a riverbed. Notice whenever your thinking mind wants to take charge, if your body tenses, the way thoughts will begin to race again. But let's just keep letting go of our thinking mind. Let our thoughts pass like a train that goes by, clouds that float past. Stay rooted in your seat. Feel the solid ground of your seat and the fluid movement now of your breath moving through you. We're looking for the portal into soul, into the psyche, into the deep unknown. We can't go about that frantically. We stay grounded, we slow down, we give ourselves space and patience and a little time here. T.S. Eliot says this to us. I said to my soul, be still, become still. Let the dark, let the unknown come upon you. Let the unknowing be here, which is the darkness, the unknowing of God. Be here and wait without hope, for hope would be hope for the wrong thing. Without having to care, without love, for love and care is for the wrong reasons. And then we enter a doorway into faith, a faith and a hope and a love that are found all in waiting here. Even without our thoughts, wait without thoughts, he says. Let's not be ready for thinking yet. And in this place, rather than operating from a thinking and fearful mind, the monkey mind, let's just get ready for exchanges today, for something to happen within this next hour that hasn't happened and isn't happening and wasn't happening before we entered here. And getting ready for encounters and exchanges where we listen deeply from this quiet place. Listening deeply, perhaps, to what someone else is living through in their unknown as they navigate it. We never know if it's the quality of our listening that affects the speaker, or if it's the ability of the speaker to say what's true and to reveal themselves that makes us want to listen so closely. Joseph Campbell says to us that there are three fundamental mysteries in a human being's life. One is the mystery of this cosmos. How did we come to be here? Where did I come from? Where am I going? How is it that this whole thing works, this existential mystery of life and the cosmos, hurling through space? He said the second mystery is death. Where are we all going ultimately? How does this impermanence thing work? What happens to me after I surrender my life? Where do I go? And the third mystery, Campbell says, is the mystery of our own inner depth. Our own interior life is a mystery to us, to many of us. We're practicing dropping down in right now into that interior space where doors open that wouldn't open before and wouldn't open for anyone else. So if you're with me here on this adventure, this mystery of the cosmos, of this living, pulsing, vital universe, and how it all works as a massive, interconnected living organism. The mystery of death and what happens when I surrender my life or I surrender my ego. And the mystery of crossing that threshold inside into my own consciousness and my own awareness. Those three are all interdependent and interchangeable. So we'll surface here in a minute. But as we sit inside and allow ourselves to slow down and go down and be soulful and wait, and just to be here without having to know anything or know what's going to happen next, just be here. Feel the mystery and the presence of that. This is how we journey while sheltering in place. And before we surface now, some words from Mark Nepo. I believe we might have sent these to you already in the mailing. He says, you must meet the outer world with your inner world. Makes sense, right? You must meet the outer world with your inner world. Goes like this. There is a wind that keeps blowing since the beginning of time, and in every language ever spoken, and it continues to whisper. It whispers, you must meet the outer world with your inner world, or existence will do you in. You have to learn to meet this outer world around you with the world you have inside you, or your very existence will feel like it can do you in. Many of us know that feeling. If you do not meet the outer world with your inner world, he says, our lives start to collapse. We feel like we vanish. We're not really here, or we're lost. Though we often think to ourselves, and quite often we think this, that hiding our inwardness will somehow protect us or save us. In the end, it's quite the opposite. The Gnostic Gospels of Thomas tell us this, that if you bring forth what's within you, what you bring forth will save you. And if you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth destroys you. So Mark Nepo says our hearts are like miraculous balloons. The lightness in our hearts comes from staying full of life. Meeting the days with our heart prevents us from shrinking and collapsing. Meeting the day with our heart. This is why a 90-year-old widow remains committed to tending her small flowers, her small flower garden in the spring. This is why a 10-year-old with very little to eat will care for a stray kitten and hold them to their skinny chests. It's why a painter who is going blind wants to paint more. And it's how a composer who is going deaf ends up writing a great symphony. So this is why when we think we can't possibly try again, or we can't possibly go on, we learn to let out a sigh that goes back through centuries, like a wind that's been blowing since the beginning of time. And despite all of our fears, we take the next breath and we step out into the world again. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to step out into the world. And when we do it this way, what happens is two things that we're going to work with today. We're going to face our fear of ourselves a little more. How we learned to avoid what we're afraid of and what we're afraid of that lives in ourselves. We don't have enough time to go through all our fears of what we're afraid of in the external world. There's so many things, so much to pick from. But if we can just allow ourselves today to think about what has been holding us back. What is my personal limitation? And again, this personal limitation, this is our quest today, is not something that the external world has put on us. Or if the external world has put a limitation on us, we have agreed to it. Taking responsibility for your journey means looking at whatever it is in you that is holding you back without judging yourself for it. Because then the judgment holds you back. That's what we're going to explore. Again, what is it that keeps me from crossing the threshold and entering into a more full exchange with the unknown world, my unknown future even? What is it in me? After all these years that still holds me back And don't judge it. Just look at it. Just look. Or notice how you don't look. Wait, wonder, reflect, be patient. Get clear. What is the one thing, most of all, holding you back from your journey going further through these very conditions that we're in now into a new possibility or a new opening? Okay, is that clear? That's number one. We're going to look, which means self-reflect, not self-judge. Look, what do we fear that's in us? Here's the classic example, and I've worked this with many people. You will not be surprised to know that people besides yourself have a tremendous fear of abandonment and rejection. That may or may not be your deepest fear. But an example, many of us have learned to identify very strongly with a fear of rejection. And this is why our journey doesn't take us further out beyond the threshold of the familiar and into the zone unknown, the forest adventurous, the future, as Campbell would say. Our fear of rejection. Now, how will it be for you to not reject yourself today? And consider, what if it is you that rejects the world and you have a fear of finding out how much you reject the world around you? What if you're the detective who's looking for the killer, not realizing you are the killer, you're the rejecter? Well, I guess that means you would have to realize that your ideal self, your idealizations of yourself won't help you here. They'll hold you back. And if you indeed have a rejection of the world, you can understand, and what keeps you still rejecting the world? Why is it exactly that you can't bear the world that rejects you? How does that manage to do you in still? What's so terrible about somebody not accepting you? That's an example of an exploration that could liberate you in your journey. One example. But the other is the ability, because when you are, by the way, when you are in an unconscious rejection of the world, you will reject a thing called goodness and goodwill and the company of others and companions. When you are protesting that the world is not the way you want it to be. This is the hard work of taking the journey. And I think we're all pretty clear that we're in a world in a way that we don't want it to be. You know, this world is not how we all want it right now. So this is a good chance to take a look at the way you might reject the world as it is. And now, if you can loosen your grip on any rejecting of the world as it is and open yourself to what comes, you enter a field of exchange. You enter into a particular kind of dynamic mystery where allies come in and where synchronicity happens. Where last night on Facebook, where I just went on and started playing, I end up interacting with someone from college who remembers the song, "I Can't Always Get What You Want." I sing it just because she wanted to hear it again, because I sang it 40 years ago, which I don't remember. And Pat is singing it in her car, reflecting on it in her car, but that you get what you need. We don't always get what we want. Thank God, as my friend Jam was saying, thank God I didn't get what I wanted then. We get what we need. So we have to accept what comes, and we're going to have a chance to do that. We're going to go on another little adventure together here shortly. But let's just come to the surface a little more, and as we consider this notion of either the gentle sliding past our personal limitation or the potential feeling of agonizing unsettledness of moving beyond a personal limitation. That is spiritual work, real work. That's real depth work. Moving yourself out beyond where you think you're so sure. I'm going to be doing some work in some other formats around paranoia, working with the character of paranoia this year, because we are in paranoid-inducing times. And the one thing about paranoia, a feature of paranoia, is paranoia is very sure of its own thoughts. There's a thing called paranoid certainty, where when you're sure someone is out to get you, out to reject you, out to abandon you, and you're certain of it, that certainty helps to fuel the paranoia. And the more you're paranoid, the more you cling to your thought, as real as anything. And so goodness and wholeness then becomes unavailable to you, and you don't know that you're the one close to it because of the way you would reject, the world really, not the world rejecting you. So that's enough for now. I don't know where this is going or how this is seeping into your soil, how this is moving into your watershed or into your ground. And I'd like to just hear some reflections about any of this that we're living through. We'll take some time just to hear from one another, but what's moving in you now around this willingness to look at the depth of a fear that you carry that's creating and holding in place a fixed personal limitation. And the point of this journey is to travel with others who will not do this for you. Because remember, we're not here to help one another. Please, God, don't help. Just accompany, bear witness, relate, but don't try to make anything better for me. Just accompany me through my fear while I look at it and name it. We're going to look at that fear and maybe start to transcend it a little bit. I'm sure nobody has a fear of speaking to 80 people right now. Probably not. Not you. No problem. Actually, if you have zero fear of it, maybe you shouldn't talk right now. Entertain us for the next hour, probably. But if you feel that edge in anything that we're living through, I'm gonna open this up for about 10 minutes for us just to feel this notion of how, when paying attention to when someone starts sharing something, or maybe I just said something here in the last 15 minutes, that awakens something in you, you share it in the way that only you could do from your perspective. It opens up the next thing and makes the next person want to share. Let's watch how we unfold this. So let's see. What could go wrong? Who knows? So if you want to speak, just announce your presence in the chat, and then I'll call you on just so we don't have a collision here. Yeah, thanks for sharing this stuff. If you want to speak, just say so in the chat, and I'll call you out to come on. Whatever's moving through you, particularly what you're living through, wrestling with. All right, Tom, come on. We got you now, and then we'll hear who's next.
Hi, thank you for calling on me. And yeah, I just want to share, I really identify with the fear. And that's why I thought it was good for me just to move past that. And despite my fear, speak up in this large group. And yeah, I think it's a deep fear of abandonment and rejection. And, you know, I was taking in what you were saying about that. And, you know, I do want to be open to the world. And, you know, I think I also feel some sadness and regret over, you know, my fear holding me back in the past, but also just, you know, accepting that and being open to going into the unknown and being a little bit different, or a lot different. Yeah, and it's just, it's scary, but exciting at the same time. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. That's it. Just like that. Just like that. Just like Tom did. Appreciate that. We can wait. All right, tonight. Come on.
Hi. So two things. It really painted a visual of those labyrinths where you have all the mirrors and you have to find your way out. And it's almost like this destroyed all those mirrors. And yeah, I what came up for me is like what if the lessons that I want to learn in order to grow are in those moments of pain and rejection? And so it's almost like I'm missing out on those lessons and assuming that I know where they're going to be. And so I'm never going to get to this place that I want to get to in my growth because I'm avoiding what my soul needs to learn.
That's pretty damn wise. It's like, how'd you get that already? Exactly. And exactly tonight, like and it, not only that, but what if it's only through that way, which we would say is the ordeal from the journey standpoint, because no one wants them. That's how you know the soul's involved, because your ego would never wish for it. That's how you know it's a real challenge to grow and mature.
Well, even like in the meditation, my stomach was hurting a little bit, and as you were speaking, I don't know why, I just remembered that this is just a moment, and like the pain is gonna go away, and it's like related to those moments of rejection. Like it's only just this moment that's gonna lead to something else, and like thinking of it of like right now really helps, as opposed to kind of like the rejection painting over the entire future when it's just a small moment.
Exactly. Said so well, because with that paranoid certainty, we're just sure of everything, and then we're locked in. And exactly right. This is where impermanence is to our advantage. Our awareness that it's all impermanent, and this too shall pass, as they would say in the 12-step programs. This too shall pass. And the fact that, again, that you were willing to come on, give it language, create some movement, speak from that place in you that holds a tension or a pain, put it in motion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. Isn't that just like that? Just like Tom, just like tonight. Do it. Just step in, cross the threshold. Yeah. Just start talking. What the hell happens? Type it in the chat. Who's coming on? They'll probably talk to you, the guys in the chat too. But who next to come in? Just share from you. Go ahead, Allard. Where are you, Allard?
Over here.
There you are.
Amsterdam. What's coming up, Mike, is the whole sort of the normal fears of fear of abandonment and fear of rejection. Of course, I have all of that and worked with that and have some awareness of it. But what's coming up now is shit. What if there's something much bigger? Like if I'm really that detective and not seeing it, that it's actually me. So shit, what if there's something else which I'm really not seeing? And shit, what if my path which I'm leaning into, which I think is my path, is actually completely not my path? So that's a bit confusing.
So Allard, just say that, just say it again, slow it down, ground it down. And what is it that comes up exactly? What if it's so the fear is that there's something I'm completely not seeing, which is holding me back. So of course there is something you're completely not seeing. And it's holding you back, man. Yeah, that's why it's holding you back.
I didn't do that.
Of
I was
course
like,
there is,
shit,
man.
imagine it's really there. And shit, imagine it's big. And shit, what if I'm not going to find it in the next 30 days? So, yeah, that would be shit.
Oh, this is so human, isn't it? I'm sure you can all type in the chat how real this is, what Lord is saying. Isn't it something when we hear ourselves actually say it, right? Like, what if it's really big? And what if it's really big? If it's really big, you can't miss it, man. You'll see it. You'll start seeing it
I guess
everywhere.
what is a bit confusing is that because I don't know if it's like sort of arrogance or something, because I've been doing some work and working through some trauma stuff, you sort of start to think, okay, you know, I get it, and there should be no big surprises anymore. But perhaps there are.
Perhaps you're secretly hoping for one. Perhaps there are no big surprises anymore. How big is that? And what a surprise would that be?
That would be pretty boring, right?
Maybe you like to frighten yourself a little bit to feel alive. You know, the fear is a source of life. It could be liberating. I don't know. But, you know, the important thing, Alard, is like you're saying, what if it's so real, our fear of looking, it's just our fear of looking. It's just that simple. What if I'm really just afraid to look? And what if that fear has been big because, like you and like so many of us, right? We have internalized a perception of an authority that judges us in our imperfections or in our limitations or in our deficits. We have internalized that, and we do that to ourselves now. What if there's something that I haven't seen yet? Yeah. What if there's something you haven't seen clearly because up until now you weren't ready to really look? Because up until now, you weren't ready to look. You weren't willing to stand on solid ground and peek into the hole or into the darkness, into the unknown to really see it now. What if now you're strong enough? What if now you're grounded enough? What if now you're real enough to really face it and let it shift and let it come into the light? What if that's the case? And again, what if you have allies like this talking to you right now? Because I think I might be your ally. You know, as well as others who will just look with you and say, wow, just say it out loud, man, and listen to yourself say it and realize it's been holding you back. Yeah. Isn't that it? Just that fear of looking, and like, of course, you're going to find something like, imagine like it's because it's unknown, it's bad. What if it is that you're actually, I mean, like, this is the thing for many of us. I can tell you this because I've been working with people this week after decades and decades of saying, man, when are you going to realize that there is something that's really, really wrong with you? There is. Can we look at it now? And can we just identify that particular feature of you that is wrong with you and not your whole self? And what if the thing wrong with you is how you think about yourself? There's something wrong with how you think about yourself. It's distorted. It is not a realistic perspective on who you really are. And you will need allies capable of reflecting it to you in a way you can bear that you're more than that. You are bigger than that. There's a worthy challenge, man. You know, that don't judge, that just wants to look closely, like, and to say, and if I just don't let this fear hold me back, how will I cross the threshold? And I'm so grateful. I mean, I am so grateful that you come on and speak so freely. Here's what's funny, Alard. How can a man who steps out in front of 80 people and shares his deep fear what the hell are you afraid of finding out? Or then you'll be afraid you won't find anything out. But yeah, that it was all
No,
smoke and mirrors.
no, it's indeed the latter. It's not so much that I'm afraid that it's ugly. It's I think the fear of just completely missing it, not realizing it, or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A real reflection of who you really are around people who can see you and look at you clearly and tell you the truth and not be afraid to tell you. And it's beyond good or bad, it's none of those things. It's just something essential about your nature that's got to be reflected back. That's what allies do. And that's what we're going to explore doing. So thank you, man. This is so good. Yeah. What if it is that you're just beautiful, man? What if it is you're just a beautiful man, who thinks stupid things about himself? It's so funny. Yeah, something wrong with you. I know. Probably, but so what? Oh man. Yeah. Amen. Thanks, Allard, for coming on. Wasn't that good? Let me come back here and get ready to transition. Just one more. So can we have one more sharing before we go into our breakout groups? Okay, Rhoda. All right, Rhoda and Juan Pablo, because you both got to come on. Come on, Rhoda, you come on first. Just the impact this is having. One person sharing leads to the next sharing, leads to the next sharing. All right, Rhoda, where are you?
Okay. Here I am. Hi.
There.
Well, so much here has resonated. I don't know where to start, but I'm just going to start. My fear of, one of my fears of leaping into, I feel like it's a leaping into the unknown, is that I won't be able to contain it. That it's going to be so big that I won't be able to contain it, and I'll pass out and go crazy. Or, what really resonated, another thing that resonated with me is what you said about the quote that you made is that your inside, your inner being, and death, and the not knowing where we all came from, those three things are all the same. Mm-hmm. I think that's what you alluded to in what you read.
They're all interconnected,
like,
yes.
Well, for me, that was like, wow. I never really, wow. I never really put it together that my inner, knowing who I am, was, well, I interpreted it as the same as the process of death and the process of knowing where we all came from are all the same. So
you're onto something, Rhoda.
Yeah. So for me, that's huge, totally huge. And that's uncontainable. And so then I'm thinking, well, do I really need to contain anything? I mean, my fear
let's
is
see what,
not going to be.
You'll be witnessed. That's your container. We'll watch and we'll see. Well, let's see. Did you go crazy? Let's see where you go. It looks crazy. Yeah. Let's see where you go when you go crazy.
Yeah, but who's going to see?
That's the beauty. We will. We will. The person you speak the truth to, that you reveal yourself to, that bears witness to you, to what you're saying right now. What if it's your deepest wish? I don't say go crazy. I would say go whole. You want to go whole. You want to be the whole thing.
I want to go home.
Yeah, go home. You want to go home, literally. Yeah, so that's our deepest wish, to have that ignite you and catch fire and be uncontainable. Finally, at last. Yeah, there's like a thousand ahas in here when you start to pull it apart, but It's mostly head scratching for a good while first, and then the aha. But the paradox you're speaking of, Rhoda, is so critical. The paradox of being contained by the uncontainable, being witnessed, and having people witness you and your uncontainability is how you get contained. To listen to you, reflect you back to you. We're all starved for that.
Mm.
Thank you thank you. I mean, what do we say? I mean, keep cooking, man. Keep cooking. All right, Juan Pablo, come on in, and then we'll hear from others after the break because we got to go. We got an adventure to go on. Juan Pablo, come in. Where are you?
Hi, everyone. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Michael, my deep sense around belonging or relating or surrendering to put my heart out there and relate with someone is I feel an edge of being trapped, as if I were to lose some kind of essential freedom if I really and truly relate with people. I don't want to explain it. That's how it feels like belonging, really belonging or surrendering to a human or to God feels like feeling trapped, not being able to choose anymore where I want to go. And in some strange sense, I still think I know better than life, I guess. That's why I get in and out. I like to get in and out whenever I want to. And I think I don't completely surrender to love. That's my feeling around all this topic.
And you're noticing that, though. You're looking at that. Yeah. That's kind of like, you know how we get on the diving board and we go back and forth on the board. I'm not sure, but we know sooner or later you're diving. But it's getting ready for the dive. That's important too. You can't do it sooner than you're ready. But more than anything else, you want to dive into freedom. And freedom comes from the self-expression. Especially you. Burn on, Juan Pablo. Yeah, so they're typing in. Thank you. So I know there were some others to share, but we're gonna go into places where everyone can share. We're going into a thing called our peer groups, and Joseph, you can correct me if I have any of this wrong, but this is the peer group that's walking with you now for the 30 days. Through the miracle of technology, we are going to call you into one spot together now. And you'll continue to be able to meet together in this configuration whenever you want. It's according to your own will as a group. And it's taking up the quest of when you can, just like people are sharing, like that edge that each one of these guys and women are naming, like just coming out and saying, it's to be uncontained. I'm going to find something I don't want to see. I hate looking at how I'm still here. I'm still in this place after all these years. Whatever that is, the deepest thing holding you back that can just be looked at and spoken to and witnessed, what will it do to loosen that? And if you don't know, you don't know. But when one person starts sharing, it'll open up the whole thing. Now we're going to give about 25 minutes to this clock time so that we can get back here and have some things together as a community to hold. But if the task isn't clear enough or you forget what it was, just come back to the main room. We'll tell you and kick you back into your breakout group. Taking up that edge of writing, of looking, deep looking, right? Deep looking, the fear that holds you back, your personal limitation, whether it's frightening, agonizing, painful, liberating, whatever it is, name it, and share among it, and get to know your allies and watch the synchronicity unfold. Go ahead, Joseph.
So guys, just a couple of things. I have two phone numbers that I'm not sure who they are, and I'm assuming that the 828 is Todd, but I don't know. And I have another area code 724. If you can type into the chat and let me know who you are so I can send you to the right room.
They're on audio.
They are on audio, yes,
Yeah,
but
okay.
I don't know their names, so I don't know who they are.
Yeah, North Carolina, and that's outside of Pittsburgh is the other one. So,
The
okay.
724.
Dan.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
this one.
We'll work with him when we get him, but let's let everybody get going where they need to go, and then here we go.
Okay.
Cross the threshold. Here we go into the unknown. Yeah, welcome back from your peer group, your ally group, your spontaneous out of the blue into the black, into the unknown interaction. Something was moving. The potential for enlightenment, the potential for disaster, it's just all there. Either way gets us there. How was it? So we're going to hear from you. We have about, we'll take about 15 minutes here, clock time. Just surfacing now what's awakening for you, what's enlivening, what's the trouble worth having, whatever that is. Just type into the chat if you want to come in. We'll hear from you. How was that? What's moving? What's happening now? How was the adventure? Some of us were dealing with tech issues, so we're still tech bound. That's great. Okay. Yeah, you can type into the chat. Whoever would like to come on and share and speak to whatever is moving through them now. And you just type into the chat. We'll looking for you here. Whoever would like to come in. No, but John, okay. Come on, John. We'll keep on tracking the chat. John, where are you? Let's get you there. Spotlight, John.
Okay, let's see. You can hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, this, of course, your call to action, your quest here, of course, was like in a collision course with my own internal fears, which were present for me just this morning, as soon as I woke up. So I was thinking about these things prior to this session, and the way you describe them and the way we approach them is just so right on. And I mean, for me, I mean, it's helping me through what I have to do today and this week, and it highlighting this fear I have, which is just this, and I discussed it in my breakout group, but this crippling fear that I have of just like kind of destruction, financial destruction, insecurity, I guess, which was like a very present thing in my childhood. My parents were just like really out of control, and I just make total barrier walls, protections around this, where like I'm still trying to muscle through tax preparation from like 2014 onward. Paying bills is just like I just shut down. I can't deal with it. I mean, I can. I mean, I'm a pretty good. When I finally, I mean, I had the skills that are needed to do that. I have them, and I enjoy doing it even. But the psychological aspect just shuts me down. It's just like a subconscious, terrifying place to be. And I just have to, I mean, it's like, anyway, that's, it's just a struggle that I just have to friggin' deal with.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. You know, I think, John, when you can't not have the fear, like you're saying, it's so real, it's so encompassing, in understanding that it's something from deep within. To understand that you're facing a threshold guardian again. You know, the threshold guardian that says to you, "Oh my Lord, like I can't possibly bear it. I can't possibly get through it." Like that is what the threshold feels like to cross it. And then, you know, I think, John, those are the places where someone else besides you has to know that that's real to you, that that's happening with you, who walks with you, doesn't talk you out of your fear because you can't, and doesn't run from that fear with you to say, all right, now let's walk. Okay. And just one foot in front of the other. And okay. And just, it's the bucketing. It's the Aaron John story of bucketing out the lake. Someone who just stands and walks with you and knows that that fear will haunt you, but isn't done in by it themselves. Like you just did now with us, breathing that and feeling that grounding now, that we're here, we get it. You're not the only one in this group, I am sure, with very real financial insecurity and knowing it in your bones. It comes from a dark history. And there's a threshold, it's not a fact. That feeling is not a fact. Thank you for coming on and saying it like this, like it is.
It's painful, but
It took courage, man.
option.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to let us move on to Laurence. You were wanting to come on, and I'm not seeing it in the chat, but Laurence, you were next here. So we'll get you, and then Nuya. And Annette.
Okay.
Where are you? There you are.
Yes. That's interesting, but I just moved to my bedroom because I had no privacy, and I completely forgot to take my notes. So that's completely me. I need notes, you know. And what's I'm in very difficult situation now with my daughter who is ill, and I'm getting overwhelmed. And what's interesting in what you said, that's what is my fear, and I could touch my fear, which is I'm not good enough. So I could feel it really and recognize my story. That's not new at all. And Rhoda said something which was very interesting for me, and about containment. And you said, Michael, to Rhoda, that's being naked. In fact, you didn't say exactly that, but that was to be in front of people, completely lost, overwhelmed, not good enough. And that's maybe a way to, I don't know if it's accept it, but to find a containment. And in our peer group, we share that need to be contained in the unknown. That's why we can't jump in, because of lack of containment.
Right. Yeah. And here we all are, just being with you in this moment, through this feeling, right now, here, just here. How real it is, the fear. So many people are, of course, typing to you and letting you know that you're touching them and they are enough for them. This moment is enough that we're having. We're here. Mm.
Oh, that's interesting. A question just went to me. That's how to contain my daughter who really needs containment because she feels completely lost. How to contain someone whilst I feel completely overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what we're going to do in a little bit is we're going to sing to you. I'm going to have somebody sing to you. And you don't have to do a thing about that. You just be sung to and let something larger than what you're experiencing come through. Because that's what we'd be doing on the journey right now, is we'd be providing you with something larger than yourself, which is us. And you'll get to read the chat later, you know, when you can slow down
Okay.
and take everything that everyone is saying to you, you know, with you. One after another after another. I was just typing this into the chat, Laurence.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel the containment. That's grounding. Yeah. I feel more real. In fact, I feel more my body.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll just take a little more time than we were planning on. That's all we did. It's okay. Every minute, one eternity, you know, here. Yeah, here, coming right here. Like we're being. Yeah. Yeah, so many people are just typing into the chat. Here with you. Here with you. Here with you. Here it comes again. And in fact, your sharing is calming down some others as well. Mm. Thank you for your courage, Laurence, because you have courage.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is the tender, poignant place. Our sensitivity, the time, we'll let Nuya come on. We'll take one more. We'll let Nuya come in. Thank you, Laurence. And then we'll bring in Thomas to wrap up. Good, Nuya, where are you? You can be on the large. There you are. Okay.
I don't mind actually if Laurence needs more time. I really, really don't mind.
No, we're good. We're good.
I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to say it's very nice to know that you're here, Laurence. I didn't notice you before. That the squares are too small for me to see actually the little faces. But I'm touched, and I'm pleased that you're here. And I've really been holding you and your daughter in my heart. I've even talked to my mom about it, which, you know, I don't tend to talk to her about a lot of things, but I really hold you in my heart. I really do. I just wanted you to know that. And now what I wanted to share feels so small, frankly.
Well, it's time for that. Room for everything. Let's see what it is.
Well, compared to what you know, this is going through, and I know, you know, comparison is not a good idea, but it just feels, I mean, it's like, come on, that's your problem? Like,
what do you want us to know?
I mean, what I wanted to say was, part of the reason I have these dreams, these desires, and these goals that I've been wanting to manifest. And the thing that stands between me and them is my freaking narcissistic edge. It's like they're just supposed to happen. I'm not supposed to work for that stuff. I mean, it's just this idea that that I'm supposed to be living that life anyway. I'm not supposed to, you know, get my hands dirty.
Yes. The illusion of reward without effort. Yes. That one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But under that would be, there's a reason for that, that carrying that or wanting to enact the reward without effort because of whatever meaning you make out of your own effort.
What do you mean?
Well, underneath that, when you think about using your own efforts, what happens?
Maybe it is that narcissistic thing again. It's just it's too daily and too small and too, I don't know.
Well, look, I mean, yeah, it's consistent with that kind of character, but if we don't even, use it as a judgment, I think any of us as people have moments where we reject the ordinary things of life because the ordinary things of life feel beneath us. Like if anyone could do it, why should I do it? Because anyone can do it, right? But there's something to the fact, am I the one to be doing it because there's a need out there? And yeah, even though anyone can do it, maybe I'm the one to, get my neighbor's groceries or reach out a hand. I think everyone here would relate to that issue of rejection of the ordinary, and including the ordinary efforts that it takes to sweep the sidewalk and, chop the wood, carry the water, that are spiritual acts. And what we do in small ways, of course, we end up doing in large ways. So I think the important thing, I'm not saying you're doing this, but is to notice that your own self-judgment about that and suspending that and entering into the ordinary is where the action is, because it's lived territory we can share. And you know this too, though. You know this. Mm-hmm. But you're here. You're here. You're speaking to us.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Just I'm still having judgments about, I mean, even my problems are small and I'm still not doing that or something. I don't know.
Well, but your problems are yours. That's the thing you can say. Our failures are ours. Our successes are ours. Our lack of effort is ours. Our effort is ours. It's yours. Mm-hmm. And, it's also, by the way, just so you know, that it's helping and touching others who are typing it in the chat that you can't see, but I can see.
I'll look later.
You look later, yeah. Yeah. How do we just step into a moment and let something be ordinary and real? Mm-hmm. Like this. I appreciate you coming on and naming it, because there's certainly people relate to it here. And yeah.
I don't know. It's that need to be different or special.
Yes.
And it was there in a negative way when I was little, and somehow it's still there. It doesn't even matter if it's negative or positive. I'm just still clinging to it. It's just, I don't know. Just, I don't know.
Yeah, we confuse, Nuya, the need to be special with the need to be our own unique and distinct path, the one that's ours and ours alone. Our interior lives, for example, are only ours. No one else can know what our interior is like for other than an empathetic resonance, but it's yours. And you do need to be unique and distinct, and you've made your efforts to do that, in fact, but the desire to be something that can't be creates a lot of suffering, because there is nobody like you. for sure. But the action, for sure, all the mystics would say it's in the ordinary. It's in the most fundamental and basic exchange of life and kindness, a breath, willingness to be with you when you're not being very pleasant with yourself, things like that. How real is that? And we need each other.
I'll let it sink with more wine.
Right. Oh, look at you. All right. So Thomas, thank you, Nuya. Thank you. To the Soul Tavern. Thomas, come on in. And we're going to wrap up here in a minute. So we'll let you,
okay.
Hearing that you were, there you are.
So here I am, Thomas, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You know, we entered the breakout room with our allies, and there were just the two of us there. And we began with a conversation about the question about our fear of rejection. And I expressed that my fear of rejection comes often from feeling like I might not be enough in any particular situation, that I might not know enough, I might not be talented enough, I might not know the answers to the questions, that my university students would leave my classroom thinking that I didn't really know, that in an orchestra rehearsal, a player might ask me a question about a piece and I might not know the answer. Just this whole feeling of maybe someone would stand up at some point and say, oh, he's really a fraud, he's not for real. Even though the reflected appraisal from other people is always something different than that, there's still that fear that I might not be enough. And then we kind of segued from there into a wonderful, wonderful celebration of synchronicity. That here we are, Juan Pablo and I, on two different continents, hours away from each other. But we found that as allies, we really aligned and we really could sync up. So I ended leaving the chat room with this incredible sense of connection, of synchronicity, of lining up. And, you know, at least for today, it caused the other sense of, you know, being a fraud or might not measure up. It seemed to pale in comparison to the sense of just celebration of that kind of synchronicity of with an ally. So that's what I wanted to leave you with.
There you go, man, huh?
Yeah. Good stuff.
What do you think about singing our way out of here?
Yeah. What do you want me to sing?
Well, you know, what you've been singing, man, that's been working.
Well, I have to tell you that this song, I wrote it like 10 years ago for the Hero's Journey, and my ally sang it to me. And I'm like, wait a minute, how did you know that?
Where'd that song go? Where'd you learn that song, dude?
Yeah, it was really pretty incredible. So it's based on the Rumi poem, my own paraphrase. But let me close. Let me sing it for you. Come, 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 you who are a wanderer. Come, 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 you who are a worshiper. This is not a caravan of despair. This is not a caravan of trouble, though you broke your vows 1,000 times. Come, come, come. Oh, come, come, come. One more time. Come, come, come. You who are a wanderer. Come, come, come. You who are a worshiper. This is not a caravan of despair. This is not a caravan of trouble, though you broke your vows 1,000 times. Come, come, come. Oh, come, come, come. Yes, come, come, come.
Yeah, like that. Like that. Come, come, whoever you are, you wanderers, worshipers, lovers of leaving. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you all. I'm sorry for the limitations of time, the overflow of time, the way we could do what we were doing with what we had from where we are. Perhaps you crossed the threshold here. Huh? You crossed the threshold. Something has happened within this last hour and 45 minutes that wasn't happening before. Go back to your peer groups again. Find your way to one another. And tell you that, yeah, Sydney loved that. And Thomas, there you go. We're echoing out in waves. I'm going to do Kundalini breathing, pranayama breathing from Kundalini Yoga. You'll get a notice. It's 9 a.m. on Monday morning, Eastern time. That's 3 o'clock in the afternoon over in Europe. It'll be 6 a.m. early risers for the West Coasters. And for now, how was this for you? You can type into the chat anything you'd like to say about that, how this was for you. We're doing what we can from where we are, right? Sheltering in place, but not in the same place, not in the same place. Something new, something's moving. Yeah, something's moving. So in closing, a poem for you. Out of the blue, I just pick a poem out of my poem box, and this is what we're wrapping up with, okay? It just came, this is one. It may be relevant, it may be not, but it's called My Ancestry DNA Results Just Came In. My ancestry DNA results just came in. And just as I suspected, my great-great-grandfather was a monarch butterfly. Much of who I am is still wriggling under a stone, apparently. Looks like I'm part larva and part hummingbird, too. There seems to be a dinosaur in my bone marrow. Golden hair springs out of a meadow in Palestine. Genghis Khan, he's my fourth cousin, but I didn't get his dimples. My uncle apparently is a mastodon. There are traces of white people in my saliva. 3.7 billion years ago, I swirled in golden dust, dreaming of a planet overgrown with lichen in forest trees. But more recently, it says, back in about 60,000 BC, I apparently walked on hairy paws across a land bridge, joining Sweden to Botswana. It says here I'm the bastard child of the sun and the moon. I can no longer hide my heritage of raindrops and cougar shit. I'm made of your grandmother's tears, apparently, as well. You conquered rival tribesmen of your own color. You then chained them together and you marched them naked to the coast and sold them to colonials from Savannah. I was that brother you sold, and I was the slave trader, and I was the chain they were chained to. Admit it, you have wings, vast and golden, just like mine. Admit it, you sweat, you have sweat, black and salty, just like mine. Admit it, you have secrets silently singing in your blood, just like mine. Don't pretend the earth is not one family. Don't pretend we have never hung out on the same branch. Don't pretend that we don't ripen on each other's breath. Don't pretend we didn't come here to forgive one another. That's by Fred Lamont. Thank you for being here, everyone. We'll do it again next Saturday. Who knows what happens between now and then, 4 or 5 lifetimes. What the hell? We might as well just do it. See you next time. See you at a hangout. Keep checking your emails for pop-ups and schedule events.
Thank you.
Look in, lean in, look in. Let's get the spotlights off. Lean in, look in. Come on, just get in here.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.
Click on, say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.